Hey guys! Today we'll be covering a 2018 romance film called You, I Love. The opening scene starts with a high school girl named Yu Haruna who is attempting to button the shirt of her crush, Rin. Yu has a timid and shy personality. Out of nervousness, she is unable to button up his shirt, so Rin yells at her and walks out. He then returns to his room and quickly regrets yelling at her, indicating that he also likes her. Meanwhile, his friend Keita walks in and advises him to treat Yu better, mentioning that Rin's actions may cause her to become depressed. Rin refuses to do so, and the two friends get into a friendly fight. A short while later, their other friend Kayomi arrives, and together they head off to school. Along the way they meet Yu, so Rin makes her carry his bag. The four of them appear to be childhood friends who attend the same high school and share an apartment. Rin, being a handsome guy, is well liked by many female students. He is always rude towards Yu, but despite this, she faithfully follows him. They appear to like each other, but neither has the courage to admit it. Seeing Rin's rude behavior, Koyomi tries to console Yu, but it only makes her feel inadequate. At school, the teacher instructs the students to pair up for the upcoming science experiment. After class, Yu approaches Rin to ask if he has chosen a partner for the experiment. The latter replies no, but in his mind, he starts picturing himself hugging Yu. He quickly snaps out of it, only to realize that he was hugging his ball. Yu smiles at him in amusement, but the arrogant Rin offends her by mentioning that no one would want to pair up with her. A few moments later, Keita arrives and, as usual, advises Rin to stop bullying her. Meanwhile, Koyomi notices Yu is sad and inquires about it. She responds that she wishes to be human rather than trash. However, she also doesn't want to be treated well, as her father once said, "Whoever treats you well is a bad person." The same night, Yu is fixing her smile in the mirror, trying to look beautiful. Just then, Rin walks in and notices her effort. He tries to make her smile, and again fantasizes about kissing her, but soon snaps out of it. The next day at school, a classmate approaches Yu and invites her to be his science project partner. However, she doesn't seem to be comfortable speaking to others, so she walks away, claiming she wants to pair up with someone else. Yu then approaches Rin and asks if he wants to be her partner. Rin agrees and tells her that she couldn't complete the task without him. But in reality, he desperately wanted to be paired with her. Later on the bus ride back, Yu, as usual, is carrying Rin's bag and is unable to stand still. Keita and Kayomi, who are witnessing this, are concerned about what will happen in the future. On the day of the science project, Rin appears to be unwell, and seeing this, Keita suggests he go home and rest. However, Rin decides to stay because he doesn't want to leave Yu alone. Later, he walks into the lab wearing his coat, causing all the female students to gawk at him shamelessly. Meanwhile, Yu appears to be extremely nervous, collaborating with Rin. While experimenting with chemicals, her nervousness causes a fire. Fortunately, Rin jumps into action, but he burns his right hand in the process. Distraught, Yu continuously apologizes to him, believing that it's her fault. Later that night, Yu is at Rin's place looking after him. She even makes him porridge, which Rin, as usual, criticizes but consumes. However, he doesn't want to bother her any longer, so he asks her to return to her place. After a while, Rin falls asleep and dreams of Yu hiding under the bed. He abruptly wakes up, looks around, and concludes that Yu has left. But it turns out that she only left for a moment to replace Rin's head compress. The scene then shifts to a few weeks later when Yu moves into a new house with her family. As she is moving her belongings, a handsome young man named Kazuma approaches her. He appears to be Yu's new neighbor who decides to help her move in. On the other hand, Rin appears depressed because Yu has relocated. Seeing his agitation, Keita suggests he pay her a visit. Rin likes the idea, and later when he reaches Yu's new house, he notices Kazuma helping her and becomes jealous. Wasting no time, he approaches them, snatches the box from Kazuma's grasp, and asks that he leave. As expected, Kazuma isn't pleased with the attitude, and soon they get into a fight. Yu, who is witnessing this, is at a loss for words. After a while, Rin becomes frustrated and walks away, but not before calling Yu a piece of trash. Embarrassed, she apologizes to Kazuma and walks inside her home. The next morning, Yu approaches Rin and attempts to apologize, but he's still angry. He again berates her and departs. Keita and Koyomi are surprised to see this, as they are unaware of what happened. At night, Rin appears to be restless, so he dials Yu's number. However, when she answers, he pretends to have dialed her number by accident and hangs up. This perplexes Yu and wonders what happened to Rin. Just then, her mother enters and introduces Kazuma, pointing out that he's a bright student. She also informs Yu that he will be tutoring her from now on. Later, Yu walks Kazuma to the gate and they have a friendly chat, which Rin notices and fumes. The next day, Yu tries to talk to Rin, but he keeps ignoring her. When Keita and Koyomi notice this, they approach Yu and try to console her. On the other hand, Rin is walking out of school when he encounters Kazuma, who is waiting for Yu to walk home together. Without a second thought, Rin again approaches Kazuma and warns him to stay away from Yu, as she belongs to him. However, Kazuma refuses to back down and claims that he'll treat her better. Soon after, he meets Keita and Koyomi, but their meeting isn't pleasant either. Later that evening, Keita and Koyomi visit Rin and inform them that Yu is being tutored by Kazuma at his place. The news devastates Rin, but Koyomi encourages him to fight for her and not give up. As a result, Rin, just like Kazuma, decides to help Yu with her studies. Later, the three of them go to Kazuma's place, where Yin stays with Yu while she completes her assignment. In the next scene, Kazuma's sister Mika enters the room and introduces herself to Rin and Keita, completely ignoring Koyomi. Mika appears to be attracted to Rin. After she leaves, the two tutors get back to work with Yu. The whole time, Rin keeps on nagging and criticizing Yu. Fed up, Kazuma tells him to stop bullying her because it makes her feel less confident. He also admits to liking Yu and that he can be her boyfriend despite not being her childhood friend. Hearing this, Rin becomes angry and storms out. Yu seems to be at a loss, so Koyomi tries to calm her down. Following this, Koyomi summons Kazuma outside for a brief conversation. She warns him not to interfere in Rin and Yu's relationship. However, Kazuma is unfazed and instead he flirts with Koyomi, making her bashful. The next day, Keita and Koyomi notice Rin writing Yu's name in his copy. After a while, a girl approaches him and asks to speak privately. Rin realizes that the girl will undoubtedly ask him out, so he devises a strategy and asks her to meet him at the back of the school. Rin also summons Yu to the same location. Later, during lunch break, Yu heads towards Rin when she notices him talking to a girl. She quickly hides behind a wall and listens to their conversation. As predicted, the girl confesses her love for him, but Rin declines her proposal, claiming that he's dating Yu. Yu, who is lurking around the corner, is stunned and cannot believe what she just heard. However, her excitement soon turns to disappointment when Rin approaches her and reveals that he's just pretending to be her boyfriend so that he can avoid other girls. Rin also asks her to play along in front of the other students and pulls her close. From a distance, Keita and Koyomi notice everything. Later, Koyomi advises Yu to approach Rin and ask for a genuine relationship rather than a phony one. Yu appears to be fine with it, but Koyomi advises her to prioritize her own feelings over those of others. After school, Rin walks home with Yu holding hands. Everyone in the school is astounded to see them. On their way, they come across Kazuma, who questions if they are dating. Rin says yes and warns him not to interfere. From that day on, Rin starts taking Yu on dates. One day, while sitting in a park, he recalls how he used to lose his keys, and Yu used to help him find them. After their romantic time, Rin insists on going to her place and having a drink together. Upon arriving home, Yu brings juice for them and is surprised to see Rin in bed with his shirt unbuttoned. Rin claims that as a couple, they should do everything. He then pushes Yu onto the bed and attempts to kiss her, but she is uncomfortable. As expected, this angers Rin, and he prepares to leave, but just then he accidentally knocks over a box, scattering their group photos. Nervous, Yu reveals that she always wanted to make a photo album. She also reminds him of the time that he hid a valuable treasure in the forest, which took hours. However, Rin isn't interested in any of these conversations, and instead, he starts discussing the location of their next date. Hearing this, Yu becomes upset and expresses her displeasure with the new Rin. He tries comforting her with a kiss, but Yu pushes him away, causing him to storm out. Yu is distraught by the incident and she sobs, wondering why she is so frail. That night, Keita is with Rin, while Koyomi is with Yu, trying to console them. When Koyomi is leaving, Kazuma approaches her outside and invites all of them to spend their summer vacation at his grandparents' house in Hoshimura. Having nothing else to do during the break, Koyomi immediately accepts. In the next scene, Yu, her friends, and Mika pack their bags and make their way to Kazuma's grandfather's place. On the bus, Rin and Yu refuse to look at each other. After a long journey, they arrive at their destination, where Kazuma's grandfather greets them warmly. Afterwards, Mika, Rin, and Keita prepare for a barbecue near a lake, while the rest stay with the grandfather and enjoy his herbal tea. During their conversation, the grandfather mentions that this may be the last year to enjoy the beautiful scenery because there are plans to build a large hotel there. Hearing this, Yu suddenly remembers a time when Rin buried a treasure in the same forest. Later during the barbecue, Mika asks about Rin and Yu's childhood friendship. Keita responds that they're more than just childhood pals. Unfortunately, the arrogant Rin addresses Yu as a pathetic person, prompting her to run away into the woods. This enrages Kazuma and he gets into an argument with Rin. After everyone calms down, Rin heads into the woods, closely followed by Mika. The rest of them wait for a while, and Keita notices Kazuma and Koyomi's bond growing. After a few hours when Yu doesn't return, everyone starts to get worried. Koyomi calls Rin, who is walking around with Mika. However, he behaves rudely and acts as if he doesn't care. But as time passes, Rin can't stop thinking about Yu. Seeing him concerned, Mika tries to comfort him by seducing him to kiss her. She draws him close, and they are about to kiss, but suddenly a sound interrupts them. It's none other than Yu, who saw them close and broke down in tears. Rin immediately goes to her, but Yu, who is heartbroken, screams in pain and runs away. Soon the other three arrive and ask about Yu. Rin claims that no one else can find her except for him, so he runs in the same direction as Yu. It appears that Rin has remembered the treasures that he had buried. The rest of them divide into two groups and set out to search for Yu. Kazuma and Koyomi take one path, while Keita and Mika take the other. As night falls, Rin continues to search the forest for Yu, eventually arriving at the spot where he buried his treasure. Fortunately, he finds her and drags her to a heart-shaped stone. Rin apologizes for mistreating her and then starts digging between the stones. After a while, he discovers his hidden treasure and hurriedly opens it up to find Yu's favorite pet, Buncho. He then hands her the statue and wishes Yu to be his forever. Coincidentally, a meteor shower becomes visible at the same time, making the night even more beautiful. Rin again begins to fantasize about marrying Yu, but this time they actually kiss each other, initiating their true relationship. Mika witnesses this from afar and starts crying, but Keita comforts her. Meanwhile, Kazuma and Koyomi also show their interest in each other. In the final scene, the group is walking to school together, and this time, Rin helps Yu with her bag.